A child is unprepared for the expectations of a birthday party. A young man faces changes to a familiar routine. A shopping trip challenges the senses. Or a busy office places extreme demands on information processing. Any of the scenarios you've seen can result in challenges in the final characteristic area you will learn about. Emotional regulation.
Emotional regulation is the ability to understand how you feel and to understand or to be able to read the environment, and it's the ability of taking your emotions and being able to match them to what's going on in the environment or the context that you're in.
Listen, before we go back into the hallway, because the bell just rang and our body's super excited, what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in and breathe out and count for a few, okay?
Okay.
1,
2, 3, 4, 5.
Pick up lunchbox, then cramps. Debbie, can you grab me a dry erase board, please?
When you see someone with ASD experiencing a meltdown or a shutdown, it's hard to know how to react. If you're a parent, the instinct may be to try to take control of the behavior. If you're a bystander witnessing something like this in public, your first thought might be that the child is trying to manipulate a situation or acting out intentionally. You might think, why can't this parent get their kid under control? In order to understand what's really going on, you have to look a little deeper.
Some of the difficulties with regulation and emotions have definitely made it hard for me to participate in activities, because even though I love being with people, it's really hard because I can only do it for so long without getting overwhelmed.
Misconception.
Out of nowhere, people with ASD choose to have meltdowns or avoid situations rather than deal with things.
Correction. It's not out of nowhere. Emotional regulation difficulties happen when social communication, patterns of behavior, sensory, and cognitive differences are not addressed.
The difficulty that many with autism have with emotional regulation is frequently misunderstood by others. People will think that they're not paying attention or that they aren't trying to understand, but the difficulty is really that they don't have those brain circuits fully developed that enable them to have a true understanding of their emotion. So when somebody realizes that their responses are inappropriate or they're not matching what's expected, it can be very frustrating. They can have meltdowns because they don't know what else to do. They can withdraw, or they can often have a very inappropriate response.
If things aren't very predictable, it'll just hit me as a surprise. When I first heard about, you can probably remember where you were when you first heard about the horrible 9/11 situation. And so when something hits me as a big surprise, it's like I have that same kind of feeling. Even though I understand going to a place that I didn't expect to go to is nothing at all. What happened on 9/11, I totally understand that, but it's still, I have that same feeling. It's really big, it was really fast, and then it takes a while for it to come down.
Emotional regulation difficulties or dysregulation in individuals with ASD may mean that they are easily stressed or anxious, exhibit meltdowns or shutdowns, have a low frustration tolerance, or have reactions that don't match the situation. It's important to recognize these signs of dysregulation, but equally important is how you react to them.
When you see a person start to exhibit signs of meltdown, and maybe they're yelling, maybe they could be even saying rude things, please don't assume that they are doing these behaviors intentionally. You really need to take a step back, and please don't take it personally. We need to get at the root cause of why they are doing those behaviors.
It's crucial that you just take a moment, take a breath, understand the environment that you're in, understand why he's what it is that he's trying to communicate to you, what it is that he wants, and then figure out how you can best address it without stressing yourself out, without stressing him out, without making anything escalate. It can be challenging at times, but it's critical.
Some difficult times for me to regulate my emotions are during like events I really like and want to be at, like conferences, traveling, sporting events, concerts, and just sometimes even everyday life can be hard. It just depends on so many things. When I wake up that day, I kind of know what kind of day it's going to be, but anything can throw that off, from the paratransit bus being 45 minutes late to numerous different things.
Difficulties related to emotional regulation are not something that an individual with ASD can choose. Often, they don't even recognize what emotions they are feeling.
Individuals with autism have difficulty with emotional regulation because it's a very abstract concept. Emotions are a very abstract concept. And for them, their experience with emotions are not the same as a lot of other people. They don't really link internal signals from the inside of their body to the emotional experience, which makes it really hard for them to really pinpoint exactly how they're feeling. And if they don't know exactly how they feel, then it's really hard to start to control those emotions.
A lot of it comes down to stress. Usually when I feel more sensitive and my senses are more vulnerable, I guess you could say, I'm more susceptible to being overwhelmed, or when I'm in a high-stress situation.
Individuals with ASD may experience emotional dysregulation because of challenges in any of the areas we've discussed, whether it is difficulty communicating or understanding social interactions, like expectations at a birthday party, not having routines or routines being interrupted and not knowing what happens next, like unexpected detours or a favorite restaurant going out of business, sensory needs not being met or receiving too much input, like being at a busy mall, or having to process information or problem solve beyond what the individual can do at that time, like juggling several tasks in a busy office. Now that you understand characteristics of autism spectrum disorder, let's consider the simple strategies you've seen throughout the video.